of the show, we spoke about the first quarter up at the SCG. 15 goals, 8 goals to 7, the Swans and the Cats. The coast-to-coast goals were amazing. And I think everyone has discussed, as you briefly touched on at the top of the show, was it a lack of defence, or was it just rolling the dice from both teams, both coaches' boxes? What happened?
Oh, well, I don't think they rolled the dice. I think that one, probably McGlynn was by himself in the back 50. But that was a great kick, wasn't it, Johnson there, in amongst two. So I think Geelong rolled the dice with a dangerous kick. They threw Taylor forward. But I think teams just moved the ball just so quickly. Have a look at the handball under pressure. Pressure, there's 3 around. Hit a target in the middle. Pressure. Missed tackle, which is unusual for Sydney.
Yep.
But they're able to... He's looking to handball, but they're out into space. And Motlop's probably the best 15 possession player in the competition at this stage, isn't he?
I also think Geelong are as good as any team in the competition at making it up as they're going along, working out what works, whether it's a handball, a kick, a chip, a change of direction. They read the play so well.
Oh, they do. Out of the 15, there probably have to be 4 goals out of the centre square as well. The centre bounce, it just went bang. It was one-on-one. Players are exposed.
We weren't expecting it, though, in that first quarter. No. You see these two teams, you think, it's going to be a pretty tough struggle. And then we're watching the first quarter going, what's going on here?
Yeah. There are some players, Rocket, when they get the ball, you know they're going to be really aggressive. And Stevie J pulled 2 of those balls back into the absolute corridor. If they don't hit the target, they're a goal the other way. But they back themselves, with supreme confidence to say, well, that's where I'm going to go and I'm going to hit it. And they did twice in a row and scored.
And I think you can tell Johnson's going to do that probably 3 or 4 times a game, isn't it? And he kicks across his body. You can always tell when he's seems to be facing a strange way. And all of a sudden he'll kick across his body, 45 degrees, 90 degrees sometimes, hits a target. It was a dangerous kick, but they're out and on the flow.
And you mentioned about how well drilled they are, and they sort of tend to make something happen, and they can run forward of the ball knowing they're so well organised down back. And I just want to show, because a lot of people are talking about Harry Taylor and his positioning. Now, if we look at Harry Taylor and we see he's on Adam Goods, so he's basically playing as a centre-half back here. So the ball has just turned over and Geelong have taken possession. So away they go now, and Harry Taylor will drift forward. Now, he can run aggressively forward now. He gets to this stage, there's a stoppage. So Adam Goods is still very wary of where Harry Taylor is, but doesn't tear back because he's nervous, because it's a really attacking position if Geelong get the ball. So we'll roll the tape again. Just want to show you how Harry Taylor has the confidence that he can actually run this far forward. So he takes Goods right up into the 40-metre mark, inside forward 50. Now, the Swans will get possession from this congestion here, and Goods goes. As you'd expect, he would go. Now, Harry Taylor's running back, not chasing too hard because he knows he's got coverage. That one player drops off here, and I think that's Selwood here, so he comes back to cover Goods. There is no panic whatsoever. Selwood calls in Enright to drop back here, and Harry Taylor goes up and picks a spare man up at the contest. So they are happy with this, and this happened repeatedly throughout the night, whereas Harry Taylor knew that he could go forward and not rush back, and sometimes he stayed in the forward line, but knowing that the likes of Enright, Corey, Lonergan, Rivers has been a really handy pickup because he can go forward and back as well. And we see here, the handover again, just that respect that your teammate's going to back you up. And we saw a number of occasions. Podsy Ardley, I think in the third quarter, went forward. He went back, rather. He picked up Goods and stayed there for 4 minutes. There was no message. I went way back. There was no message from the runner to go forward. He stayed there. The next goal at the stoppage, just drifted forward, changed over again. So it was really well drilled, and they don't panic at all.
But that back 6 for Geelong is so well drilled. I mean, they've played together for a long time. They've got the licence to do those sorts of things, and they have great confidence in each other to actually cover. Whereas a lot of other teams, sometimes you become so worried about your own opponent, it's not the first reaction to cover for a teammate who might be caught out of position.
That's right.
And that's something that comes with being so well drilled over a number of years.
Yeah, it's just the trust, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's trust to be able to do that. And I think you picked up the tactical move as well, that a forward will come down and release a defender.
Yeah.
He'll pick up, so Podsy Ardley's defender is looking for Podsy Ardley to come back.
Yep.
So he's numbering off, maybe 40 metres away. But then it's the defender has run off and he's got no opponent.
What about the forwards end of that? You feel like you can never get free. You must feel like you can never get off the chain because Taylor dictates what they're doing there and doesn't really have to get back to it all because of the cover.
That's right.
Do you know what,
really
though?
Dangerous.
When there was a stoppage, if I was Adam Goods, at that point in time the game was in the balance, I would have bolted back and said, you know what, you stand there all on your own. I'm going to stand here all on my own. It's a little bit of rolling the dice, but I think the forward's got to make the defender accountable for him in the first place.
Or at least call out to someone in the stoppage.
Yeah,
get out,
keep an eye
cover
on
him.
him.
So I'll go back. There was 2 other occasions that Harry Taylor went forward. One, he went off the bench, onto the bench, the 13-minute mark of the first quarter, replaced Chapman, then went forward for 10 minutes. Yeah. The other one, he's a loose man in defence at a stoppage, at a centre bounce rather, and just ran forward and stayed there for 10 minutes as well. So they're well drilled.
Well, the 2 things you just mentioned is the very reason why I thought Harry Taylor was the game changer. There's no doubt that Joel Selwood was best on ground. But Harry Taylor, and it's a twofold tactic. We can see him going forward. He's a brilliant contested mark, as good as anyone in the competition. But it's either him bolting forward from defence, as you just showed us, Lynchy, or he can play as a key forward. And he was stationed there for a couple of short periods of time, and he's incredibly dangerous. He gets himself involved, and he ends up on the scoreboard a couple of times. So it's amazing the lease of life a defender gets when he gets a chance just to attack the ball with gay abandon up forward. And he'd be loving that.
Oh, absolutely. And because there's been more and more focus on him, and he's had the results as well over the last probably 18 games where he can go forward and kick half a dozen goals, now the likes of Adam Goods are really nervous to actually let him go.
So, Rocket, as a coach, what do you say when you're coming up against Geelong and you've seen this sort of thing, you know what Harry Taylor's going to do? What do you do?
Oh, I think you warn the players. Obviously, their education-wise, this is what they're trying to do, this is what they're trying to achieve, and as you said, there might be some options there that a person like Goods will call a teammate from a stoppage to actually mind the corridor, to give him some coverage as well, and ask the question. Actually bolt back and say, well, are you going to pick me up?
Yeah. I'll tell you a tougher challenge, Chase, right now at the moment is the man you just mentioned, Selwood. He's in fantastic form, isn't he? His 3rd quarters in the last couple of weeks, or the first month of football, I think proved to us why he's probably the best captain in the competition.